Ukraine's President Zelensky has arrived in Canada on an unannounced visit. He's been greeted in Ottawa by Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, whose government has pledged support throughout the war. Mr Zelensky will hold formal talks with his counterpart before giving a speech to the Canadian Parliament. It comes after President Biden announced a new $325 million aid package for Ukraine from the United States after meeting with Mr Zelensky at the White House. Our correspondent, Helena Humphreys, has more details on what is and isn't included in the deal.
It amounts to some $325 million in weaponry, specifically when it comes to air defence, something we know that President Zelensky had been calling for. More ammunition as well, ammunition to be fired from those powerful HIMARS rocket systems, more Abrams tanks as well, or Abrams tanks which will be on the ground in Ukraine, we now understand, from next week. Specifically, though, it didn't include those ATACMS longer-range missiles. Remember, President Zelensky has been calling for those, saying that they will be necessary, particularly with regards to efforts to retake any land in Crimea.
That was Helena Humphreys speaking there. Well, President Zelensky also spent time in Washington appealing to the US Congress for more assistance. Lawmakers are divided over funding for Ukraine. House Speaker Kevin McCarthy said that he would not commit to putting a $24 billion aid package to a vote this year, shortly after meeting with Mr Zelensky. But speaking at the US National Archives, the president said that continued support from the US was vital for the world.
After Ukraine, if we fall, half of Europe would again be in danger of being in Moscow's sphere of influence. But American investment in Ukrainian security and global protection of freedom is working 100%, every cent.
Well, Elsa Demas is an associate international and defence researcher at the think tank, the RAND Corporation, and she says that Washington was giving mixed signals when it comes to military aid for Ukraine.
Yes, I'm heartened on the one hand. I think, watching what's happened with Zelensky in Congress and then later at the White House, it seems like those that are opposing providing additional aid to Ukraine really are a concentrated minority. Certainly a vocal one at that, but definitely a small one. It seems like, now again, it's difficult to know exactly because a lot of the meetings were closed door, and so we don't know the exact nature of the discussions. But from reading the tea leaves, it really seems like those that may have been sort of skeptical in the U.S. Congress may actually have been heartened by Zelensky's comments. He spoke very plainly. He mentioned, for instance, that without further U.S. aid to Ukraine, that Ukraine will lose the war. And he said that in no uncertain terms.